My name is Bob Dingman. I was an EM2 electrician's mate. Next, I got assigned to a guided missile destroyer out of San Diego. So I went home on leave for 2 weeks leave to New York. I said I lived in New York, flew cross country to there. And my orders were to go to San Diego. The ship, the USS Hoel, which was DDG-13, was actually over in the Westpac, on a deployment over to Vietnam. So, but my orders were to go to San Diego and wait for it. It was supposed to be back in March. So I went to San Diego, and I was an E5 second class, which was the highest rate I could get in my 4 years. And so I went into what they call the transit barracks there. So I would go to quarters every morning, and typically they would get working parties of non-rated ones or E4s or something. And then it would say, okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and I'd just go to the beach, whatever. I had some other friends that were from the New Jersey that were on ships down in San Diego, and we'd get together. And except for one morning, they called my name and they said, get your stuff together and report to base personnel. I said, I wonder what, maybe it's back earlier, so it was in February, actually end of January. And I went there, and the guy, told him who I was and everything, and he said, okay, just a minute, and he comes back with this envelope, white envelope. He says, okay, here's all your records and everything, and here's your plane ticket. And I said, plane ticket to where? He said, San Francisco. I said, why? He said, oh, you're going over to meet your ship. So I flew from San Diego to San Francisco, and San Francisco to, they had what they call MAC flights, which were civilian airlines, but they were all military people on them. It was Military Airlift Command. And this was a Braniff International flight, and they had stewardesses, regular flight, but they were all coach. There was no first class or anything. Got on there and flew to Hawaii, spent a couple hours there, and then flew to Air Force Base in Japan. You go to Air Force Base in Japan. And I had my orders with me and everything, and I walked up to this window, the Navy personnel check in, and I said, the guy looked at it, got out this big computer printout, the old fan type green and white printout thing that came out of the printers, and looked, he said, your ship's not here, it's in, he said, let me check, and he comes back, he says, oh, it's in Okinawa, but we got a flight, I left on Wednesday at 10:30 at night, and I got in Japan Friday morning at 6:30 or something because of the date change and all that. And he says, it's Okinawa, we got a flight though leaving at 8:30 for Okinawa. So got a ticket for that one, got on there, flew to Okinawa, checked in again. They said, no, it's not here, it's in Da Nang, in the harbor in Da Nang right now. And I said, okay, so how do I get there? And he said, well, we got a flight leaving Sunday morning at 6:30. So that's good, where do I stay? He said, well, you can't stay here, this is the Air Force, you got to go to the Navy base on the other side of the island. So I had to get on a Navy bus, go over there, checked in there. I said, I got to be back at the air base by 6 o'clock. The guy says, okay, we'll have a car here to take you back. Somebody will be here to take you back. He says, make sure you put in for someone to wake you up. I said, okay, so I did that. Got up, the guy woke me up, and I got up, walked down, and there was a 40 Econoline van, Navy van, sitting there, and the guy drove me back over to the Air Force Base, and got on, flew into Da Nang Air Force Base. I got there, and they said, it's not here, it's gone out on the gun line, so, but it was supposed to be back, so I said, okay, so where do I do? So they sent me to a construction battalion, Camp Tenshaw, in Da Nang, CB base, and I spent 10 days there, not doing anything, because I was, they just muster for quarters and go to a show or go to the rifle range or go to archery, or they had a big slot car track. I actually met a guy that I went to A school with there, going into the EM club. He was in shore patrol, and he was on guard in front of the EM club when I walked by him. He said, come here, buddy. I got to hang around with him for a while.